Hello and welcome to the Sharp Edge podcast, where we provide valuable insight and advice on the marketing and other business type questions that painting contractors encounter as they work towards achieving their goals. Now here's our hosts, Martin Morgan and Becca Hackley. Welcome to the Sharp Edge podcast, a podcast that's all about being the ultimate marketing and business resource for painting contractors. In this episode, we are going to be talking about your Google My Business profile and what it means to have one. Martin, so with our current professional painting contractor customers that we have, we focus a lot on the importance of having that GMB profile or that Google My Business profile. But what exactly is the GMB profile?
Hey, Becca, Google My Business. Really important for painting contractors. And I think we've said that a couple different times in a whole bunch of places and going back years as I was looking through our blog to see some of the additional things that we have on there. And that Google My Business profile, for the most part, the key piece to know about that is your business. That is the activity within your business. That is what Google looks at to show that you are in business. And if you're a business owner, if you're a painting contractor, you definitely want to have that Google My Business profile, because if you don't, in Google's eyes, you are pretty much not in business. Your business doesn't exist. Most often where you're going to see that profile is if you specifically search for your business name. You are going to see in the search engine results page on the right side, you are going to see your profile come up. On the left side, and this is on desktop, on the left side, you're going to see listing of perhaps a map, but with organic search results. And on the right, you're going to see your business and the information that you've provided through the interactive Google My Business profile right there. So any information that you put in for that profile, it'll show up there on the right side.
Hey, Martin, can you access this on a mobile device too?
You can absolutely access it on the mobile device. So when you're looking at that Google My Business profile, you're going to see that anywhere that you are searching using Google, using Chrome. And that's also Google Maps, where you would see it. Most often in those cases where you're going to see it is you're going to see it within the local pack, which is that listing of usually 3 or 4 businesses that appear right below the map. And within that local pack, oftentimes, if you're looking for a local service provider, you might click, depending on what type of device that you have. And you're going to find that information that populates right there that oftentimes will show hours and phone number and address, of course, name, some additional things. So anytime you have that interface, whether it be a search engine results page that you see on your desktop, search engine results page that you see on your phone or tablet, or if you go specifically to Google Maps, all of those places, that information that's within there is fed directly from your Google My Business profile.
I'm not sure if you know the exact answer to this, but I do want to ask. In order to have the GMB, the Google My Business profile, do you have to sign up via like a Gmail of some sort, or how do you get access to it?
Yes, and you don't have to have a Gmail account to get access to it. And we have a blog. As I mentioned, I went back to look at when we started to write about Google My Business, and I had written a blog that posted almost a little more than 3 years ago. It was October 20th, 2017, that goes step by step and has a link to directly where you have to go to set up a Google My Business profile. So if you go to our blog, propainterwebsites.com, look at resources, look at the blog, there'll be a search box over there. If you're on desktop, if you're on mobile, you've got to just scroll to the bottom, plug in Google My Business. Probably the second or third thing you're going to see is a blog that was written in October of 2017, and that gives us step-by-step directions for how to set up your Google My Business profile. Right in there, number one, of course, is that link to get there. If you want to jump past all those steps and just go to Google and search for Google My Business account, I'm sure one of the first things that are going to come up is that same exact link where you can get right in there and set up your full profile right in Google.
Okay, and then you briefly touched on, where customers find the GMB. So you mentioned the local pack. So underneath the map, those first main businesses that pop up. But you want to give me any more specifics on how customers are going to find that GMB? Like, are they searching for something specific, like house painting in Omaha, Nebraska, or how do they find it?
Yes, Becca. Anything that they might search for where they're looking for a local business. So somebody might search for interior painting, Omaha, and most often you're going to find that map with the local pack right there. That's again 3 or 4 usually listings. It's 4 if there's an ad at the top, and then the 3 below that. And they might find you there, or they may click on the map, which is going to give them a much longer listing. And from there, they might find it. Again, other thing that the Google Maps app, if they search for painting contractor or painters or interior painters, exterior painters, whatever services that you provide, they go to Google Maps to try to find somebody local, then it's also going to pop up there. And anytime they click into that little listing, initially it just shows that horizontal box and might have your review numbers and a link or two or not, your name, a phone number. But anytime they click into that box, then they're going to see that full listing for your Google My Business.
Clearly, there's no doubt that you're going to want a GMB if you're in business, because that's going to be helpful when people are looking in the map or just on Google looking for house painting or interior painting, like you mentioned. But let's say I'm a painting contractor who doesn't currently have one set up. How is that going to directly affect my business? Like, is it going to stop people from finding me altogether, or what's it going to do for me if I don't have one?
Well, it's definitely going to stop them from finding you on the internet. So there's that, which is obviously pretty important.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned toward the beginning, is if you don't have a Google My Business profile, for the most part, Google doesn't think you have a business. So even if you have a website, let's say you have a website that you don't have a Google My Business profile, chances are your website is not going to show up in the search results. So the only way that somebody is going to get to your website is if they specifically type in your URL, or there is a chance they might get there if they type your business name directly into the search box. So they might find you there. They also might not, because the website and Google My Business really work hand in hand in making sure that you get found online. So one of the key indicators for the website is Google My Business. So Google My Business, of course, because Google uses their own stuff, they're going to see, all right, well, this business, they've got this profile and it links directly to this website. So this website represents this business, and this Google My Business profile should drive people to the website, and the website is also working hand in hand with the Google My Business profile. So that is really important, because Google controls like 90% of all search traffic. And if you want somebody really to find you, they also control so much of search just in general and all the different pieces. So that's really one of the main reasons why Google My Business profile is so important.
Okay, so we have this profile. This profile has the ability to connect your website so that your customers can find you, but there's more to it, and I know that. So I mean, there's sections in your Google My Business profile. Do you have to fill in each of those sections, or is there kind of like a little asterisk of you have to, or can you leave things blank? Like, how is it going to help you?
You definitely want to fill in as much as you possibly can. So it's going to be to your benefit to fill in as much as you can, because if you do that, then Google sees you as more of a legitimate business, as you might expect. That's probably.
I was going to ask you, are there key elements though, like your must-haves? What are the 3 to 5 must-have things you have to have in your GMB?
So from that standpoint, if you're looking at 3 to 5, one, you definitely want to pick your category, and Google has flexed that more in recent years. So I think when I first wrote that blog article about 3 years ago, painting contractor specifically was not a category, and I am almost certain that it is now. That's most likely going to be your best category. But you can pick multiples. You just want to make sure that your primary best represents the services that you offer. And Google will use that category to determine what businesses it shows in the local path and on the maps. Because if somebody, for instance, specifically types in they're looking for a painting contractor, then as you might expect, businesses with a category of painting contractor are going to rise to the top of what Google shows. So category is really important. Your name, address, phone, obviously extremely important. Address, I know, can be a little tricky with painting contractors, but they've set it up nicely so that as a service area business, you can really represent your service area within that without having to put in your specific address. So you might see where there's a line, and depending on what's chosen, it might look like a box shape or a triangle or even a circle around a specific area. And that's going to be important to help make sure that you show up locally, because obviously all you care about is local, and what Google is trying to provide is the best local results for anybody who's looking, especially for painters or painting contractors in the area. So you've got categories, you've got your location, name, phone, are all critical. Photos are really great. So include as many photos as you can, and then that's also going to help you, obviously, with painting being a very visual thing. And I'm sure you have lots of potential customers who have asked you for either pictures or some sort of identification of work or a job similar to what they're looking at. So the more photos that you can put in there, the better. And then the one last thing I would say, which is not something that you can specifically put in, but if we're talking about what the most important aspects of Google My Business are, those reviews play a huge role in where you show up in the local search, local path maps, etc. And if your potential customers will choose you based on what those reviews look like.
Before moving on to anything else, I mean, I want to hit on reviews a little bit just because they are so important. I mean, even the social proof, right? Like reading what people are saying about the painting contractor, the business. Let's just be upfront. Respond to the reviews. Whatever reviews you get on your GMB, respond to them. But Martin, when you respond on the Google reviews, does that help you in any way of searching better?
We believe that it does. Okay. It's difficult and should be mentioned. And I think I always try to offer the asterisk anytime I say something about it. But nobody other than Google knows exactly what their algorithm factors in to search or local search or necessarily the local path. Now, there are a lot of people who have done good in-depth studies to determine what factors they believe are most important. So we've got some pretty darn good data, but we don't know exactly. And part of what we do believe is that responding to reviews matters for 2 reasons, and it can help you in 2 ways. One of those things is that, well, actually there's 3, but let's say 1 shows that you're active. So Google wants you to be active. They want you to be active on your Google My Business, because that is an indicator to them that you're an active business. So that's going to be likely to help you show up in search and in the local pack. Two is certainly from a customer element, that makes you look good because it shows that you care about customers as they offer you reviews, that you're responding with them, that you are an engaged business owner. And the third point of that is, and to the extent that you can get your customers to include the services that you specifically provide within their reviews, and also good if you can respond with that. So let's say you did an interior painting job and somebody's really happy, and you have a conversation with them and you ask them and say, hey, it'd be really helpful if you would post a review, and especially if you could mention the work that we did, because that really helps us get additional customers. And so they go on there and they say, oh, it was awesome to have XYZ painting. They did a fantastic job, very professional and kind, helpful, and just did a fantastic job painting the interior of our home. And in your response, you can write something along the lines of, oh, thank you so much for taking the time to post this thoughtful review. We really enjoyed working with you. We were excited with the results of your kitchen and dining room and living room space, and it just looks so good and sharp with that fresh coat of paint. So the way that can help you is it helps, again, it can potentially help you in the local pack ranking if somebody is specifically searching for interior painting. And then looking at it from a longer standpoint, with the idea that your Google My Business profile and your website work hand in hand to help get you found online, that stuff written in the Google My Business profile is going to be tied into your website, because as long as you've got your website linked on your Google My Business profile, then Google is going to see and credit you with anything that's in both of them. And that'll show them that somebody who's looking for interior painting, your Google My Business profile is important to show, and also your website.
And if anything, the more that a customer can read about the painting contractor on the website or on their GMB, the better. I mean, I feel like as a decision maker, I want to try to get all of the research I can done before I even make the call to book an appointment, because then I'm more comfortable in what I'm doing, what I'm spending my money on, kind of just knowing where my money's going to go. So if anything, reviews are just fantastic to have as just that back pocket of like, this is what we do and you will be happy.
You're absolutely right. And reviews are the modern word of mouth. There's a modern referral. And similarly, Becca, we look at these to just let us know, to prove to us that we're going to make the right decision. And the more information that we can get that's going to back up our decision, then we're going to feel much better about that. And we want to hear from other customers who were looking for the same type of thing we were looking for, and then they had a great experience. And the more that we can see that, the better we're going to feel about choosing that specific painting contractor.
The next big question that, it's going to be asked by somebody. So let me just ask you, Martin, does having a Google My Business profile cost any money?
It costs zero money. There's no cost attached to it at all.
Okay, so there's absolutely no reason why you don't want to do it, right?
You're 100% correct, and I've given the advice many times. If you're starting a new business, or maybe you've been able to get by just totally on word of mouth, just because you're linked into your community and you're really looking to expand, and you haven't done anything on the web. You have no digital presence really at all. Your very first step should be creating your Google My Business profile.
So you hit on how to create a Google My Business profile. You can either go to our website and look for that blog in October of 2017, or you can go to Google itself and look up the steps on how to create that. But Martin, when they're in those steps of creating that, will the painting contractor need to verify that they are indeed a legit business in order to get their profile just at the final setup stage?
Good, very good point. Most often what happens is that Google will ask you to put in an address, and then they will send you snail mail, believe it or not. They will send you a postcard with a code or like a pass thing that you will then have to go into your account and submit just to verify. Or it also may ask you to give them a call with that information to verify. So sometimes they change their methods, but it is, I believe, still always through the mail.
Okay. So that's helpful to know. So keep your eyes peeled for your mailbox whenever that comes through, because you want to make sure you get that so your profile is set up correctly. So once the profile is up and running, you're good to go. You've got some photos on there, your name, maybe not address, but the location, your phone number is all on there. Your website's connected. What about updates? So when we kind of go through time, we don't want the profile to just sit stagnant, because that's not going to help us. How often should people be making any changes or updates to their GMB?
You want to update it pretty frequently. I would say there are a couple of additional things you can do. One of those that I think is valuable is to pick services. So there's a consider services almost like the subcategories as categories. And I would encourage you to pick the services that you provide. Think of, if you can, a minimum of 5, whatever services that you provide. There's a pretty good number of options on there. So pick all of those that you provide. And again, the reason that we recommend it doing it fairly frequently is because that sends signals to Google that you're an active business. So if you can post more pictures at the end of most all of your jobs, if you can, would encourage you to post at least a couple of pictures. If you encourage people to leave you reviews and then you're responding to those reviews, if you want to get in there and complete the description field is another good place to do, to put some more information. Now, that's not something you're probably going to update frequently, but if you space these things out, that's going to help. But if there's something that you can do, let's say on a monthly basis, that's going to be equal as a signal to Google that you're an active business.
When it comes to making sure that Google sees you as an active business, is that the sole reason why people like post updates? Because I see on some people's Google My Business profiles, they can share photos of current jobs they're working on, almost like a news feed that you would see on Facebook, but it shows on the GMB. Does that kind of serve as the same purpose of providing an update or like a change to show Google that you're active?
It definitely can. There is another advantage. Although people can't really follow your Google My Business profile, so that's not an option. Google tried that with Google Plus and it failed, so they stopped offering that as an option. But if people, you get the benefit of being active, which is going to help you with Google. But if your timing is good and people start to find you and you've posted something, then that's also going to give them an opportunity to engage, or give them one more chance to potentially find something that they might like about your work. You can also post promotions that you have going on, which is a good thing to do. So Google has a post feature, and it does expire after 9 or 10 days, I believe, unless they've changed it. I don't think they have. And when you hear me say things like that, it's just because Google frequently tests different things. So
They're
So,
ever changing.
so
Who knows?
they've always got something testing. So, so there's a chance that yesterday it was 9 days and today it's 7. Not that they always change, but just, they're testing things. So unless you're in there every single day, sometimes you find that things have changed, usually for the better. But those posts can be powerful. Somebody comes across a promotion, and you can set the promotions up to expire on a certain date as well. So if you're using promotion, but those are just additional things that people might find on your Google My Business profile that might give them a chance to interact, or it might give them that incentive to give you a call and ask you about that specific promotion.
So there's a lot of aspects to the GMB that you can really take advantage of as a business. And I think the best bet is actually Googling, what's the features of the GMB? What can you get out of it? I mean, really take advantage of what it has to offer, because I think the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. With that being said, we've touched on how you need to put your website with the GMB. What if a painter doesn't have a website, but they still have their GMB? I mean, of course, we already know that that's probably going to hurt them because you want to have a website. But is it possible to even have a GMB without a website?
It is definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
Don't want to do, or
it's not ideal.
Okay.
So I think as I mentioned a few minutes ago, 5-10 minutes ago, whatever it was, that I would recommend that if your first step from a digital marketing standpoint is to set up your GMB. If you're not ready yet for a website, then that's okay. I would certainly encourage you to go that route fairly quickly, but at least you will start with your GMB getting some credit from Google, and there's a chance that you could start showing up on local packs, which is definitely important. The nice thing is that once you do have the website and you have those two things connected, the Google will use your website as a factor for showing your Google My Business profile within local packs and within the maps. So part of, again, that Google algorithm factors in, something like 200 different signals into what the order really is within both organic search and then local search or the local pack. Some of those signals that count for the Google My Business profile for the local pack come from the website. So one of those signals that is frequently thought to play a role is the URL and the content of the page or the website that you put the link to when you select website. So we'll stick with this interior painting theme because I think I started us down that road, so we'll keep going there. And if the URL that you put on your website, and let's just say it's your homepage, so you link your homepage, totally fine. That's a good thing to do. It's going to cover a lot of ground. Almost everybody does that. You link your homepage, and on your homepage, you've got a bunch of content that references, and not necessarily repeatedly from a keyword standpoint, because Google is getting smarter and smarter about understanding what you're writing. It references interior painting on there a lot. And Google's reading those signals to say, okay, this business, we've got the GMB profile here. We've got this link to their website. And on the website, on this page, it references interior painting a lot. So we know that this business does a lot of interior painting. That's one of the key things that they offer. And now somebody comes along and they search for interior painting. And they may put near me, they may not. I think one of the kind of a sort of myth that exists to some extent now is that, people have to put near me for it to be local search. It's no longer necessary. It hasn't been necessary for years. You can all just try it. Just type any sort of local service and you're going to find it automatically factors in near me. Almost every search is a local search unless somebody is specifically searching for knowledge or information. So if somebody searches Matthew McConaughey movie, well, obviously local doesn't apply. They know, oh, all right, this is an information.
Specific, yeah.
Right. But if somebody's searching for painting contractor or flower shop, then in almost all cases, that's a local search. Somebody wants to find that local. So that's going to factor in there. So if somebody puts in interior painting, and then Google is going through its process that runs in an amazingly short amount of time to show the results, they're reading all those things, and they see that, all right, on the page they've connected, it was interior painting. This person is searching for interior painting. This business has painting contractor as its category, and we know that this link page shows a lot of interior painting. So we're going to show them higher in the ranking than the Google My Business profile of the painting contractor that on the page that they have linked on the home page. Almost all of their references are just to deck painting, because this person isn't looking for deck painting. They're looking for interior painting. So that's a long explanation. But what I'm trying to say is that when people are searching for specific things, Google wants to find references to that in as many places as possible. So if you can build that out through your website and have that connected to your Google My Business profile, then Google sees more of that evidence. So we talked about, as humans, when we're trying to make decisions about what businesses to use, we love to see that social proof. We love to see those reviews. We like to know that people have had good experiences. Similarly, Google likes to have as much data and information as possible. So the more that it finds that you as a painting contractor specialize in interior painting, then it is going to be more likely to show you higher in the results, even when it comes to the local search, the local path, and on maps.
So I've ran into Google My Business listings that aren't doing so well. They say that they're permanently closed, which, well, of course, it's helpful to know so you don't call them. But just out of curiosity, can Google mark your business permanently closed if there's like a lack of activity or
no
any reason?
Right. Google won't do that just because you haven't touched your Google My Business profile. So they won't do it. But a key point to make on that is that, and this is also why it's really important to set up and or claim your Google My Business profile, is that Google crowdsources their information. So anybody could go on there and just mark you as closed. And if you're not actively managing it, if you haven't claimed it, you won't even know. So that's pretty bad. Let's say
scary.
Right. Let's say you set your Google My Business profile up 3 years ago. You really haven't touched it. You don't know where the login is, and a potential customer tries to give you a call. They call you 4 times, you never answer the phone, and they're kind of mad about it. So they go on your Google My Business profile and they say, "Hey, mark this business is closed. They're closed. They didn't answer my calls. They didn't call me back." Boom. Google sees that and says, "All right, this business must be closed. They're not. Somebody has told us they're closed. We have no evidence that they're operating." So you really want to consider those things as well. And that's just another way that potential customers can have an impact on what your digital profile looks like.
Yeah, so lesson to be learned is pay attention to your profile and really keep up with it, with just seeing what people are posting too. That's going to help you in the long run before it hurts you. So if I guess you don't necessarily change addresses maybe as a painting contractor, but if you're wanting to change hours due to holidays or just in general, is it easy to do those type of changes on your GMB, or is it kind of like once you touch it, that's what it is?
It's easy, and they try to make it really easy. If you're actively managing it, anytime there's a holiday, they're likely to send you an email and ask you if your hours are going to change for that specific holiday. So they've got their eyes on it. They're trying to help you, and it's not difficult. You might change locations, or let's say you haven't had a specific location, but you're growing your business, things are going well, you decide to set up a brick and mortar, and you do, then you can just change that, update it, put your office in there. They want it to be updated and accurate, so they do try to make it pretty easy to make those updates.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful, especially if you're busy painting constantly. So,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, oh my gosh, it would be hard to keep up with it all the things going on in a business, running the website, painting, all of that. So, Martin, does Pro Painter websites, like, do we do anything specifically for the Google My Business profile to help painters?
We absolutely will. So that's one of the things that we like to help our customers with. Is somebody doesn't have it set up yet, we'll help them get that set up. Somebody needs some updates, we'll help them update that to where it should be. Obviously, we'll provide recommendations on what we think might be helpful from that standpoint as well. And if there needs to be something that needs to happen, we'll help customers also with that going forward.
And I ask because what we've covered today, there was a lot just from the beginning of setting up the Google My Business profile all the way to managing it and making sure that it's running smoothly. So if any of you who are listening, like, have any lingering questions that maybe we didn't cover or you need more on, please reach out to us with questions. Martin loves talking about this stuff, so it's always fun to see just what kind of questions people have, and especially about such an important topic, we need to cover it, and we're happy to help.
And we totally understand when you're first jumping in, it can seem a little overwhelming and easy for me to say, right, that, oh yeah, it's easy to change and you just go here and you just do that. But I understand
click.
totally, again, yeah, no problem. Take you 3 seconds. But when you jump in there, especially for the first time, it can be intimidating. And Google, as much as they're trying to help you easily set this up or make changes, they're also trying to get you to advertise. So they try to make that really easy also. And so when you go into your account initially, they've got lots of opportunities for that. But as Becca said, we're happy to help in any way possible. And the other thing I would say is subscribe to the podcast. If you found this information helpful, we highly encourage you to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. We will be doing at least one a month, and we continue to plan to give hopefully good advice that you can use for your business in multiple different areas. So please subscribe.
Thank you for listening to the Sharp Edge podcast. If you want more information about this, please visit propainterwebsites.com and head to our resource center. We plan on hosting a podcast each month, so subscribe. You won't want to miss out. Also, we just have one last favor to ask of you. It would mean a lot to us if you would share this with your friends or other painting contractors. Our goal is to help you succeed, so you can help us achieve this goal by telling someone else about the show. Thanks again and have a great day.